We are Be Well Health and Wellness Consultants, and we're inviting you into our toughest and most honest conversations with each other.
We believe in honest, educated, science-based health promotion and that everyone should have access to this kind of information.
Tune in to hear our hearts for you as we uncover the not-so-pretty side of the health and wellness industry on the Healthy is Hard podcast. Hello, friend. Welcome back to the Healthy is Hard podcast. We are in week 1, technically week 2 of our spring training series. This is the first week that we're actually going to dive into an exercise topic. So Tony is going to take it away. He has a really exciting and tangible, useful topic for you guys today. I think a lot of you want to know this specifically, especially us women. So Tony, tell us what we're going to be talking about today.
So what we're starting off is with cutting. So cutting is it has been very, very popular phase in somebody's life when it comes to prepping for the summertime. Everybody, their goal is to try to look as good as possible for when they go to the beach. They can take their shirt off and feel their body how they please, right? And cutting can correlate with people trying to lose weight, but there is little details when it comes to somebody focusing on specifically cutting and somebody trying to lose weight, because when somebody's in a cut, their target goal is body fat. They want to eliminate as much body fat in their body as possible. Comes to just losing weight, you have to just be more broader with that because you just have so much overall body fat and water weight and muscle mass. Is just everything at that point when you're losing weight falls into place. But let's just stick specifically with cutting as the topic for this episode.
So before we move on, question for you. Cutting is a first step or a second step? So you lose weight first and then cut, or you cut and then lose weight, or can you do them at the same time?
Yes, and yes. So here's where the first 2 yeses come into play. If you want to cut first, that's typically for people that already have a decent size on them. Anybody that's bigger, right? People that want to cut that are smaller should try to bulk up as much muscle mass as they can first before going into a cut phase. Because if they're already small as it is and they go into a cut, they're just going to become very, very small compared to what they were. And then as far as both, that is a big myth that I hear so many people say. They're like, oh my God, I got to cut. I'm going to lose so much strength. I'm going to lose all my muscle. Well, if you do the right training and the nutrition that you have for you, you can still maintain that hypertrophy that you've worked on. And most importantly, a lot of people are scared of losing their strength, which is why I want to always push the topic of doing compound movements at a moderate to a heavier load at the beginning of your workouts so you can maintain that strength throughout the entire cutting phase. Therefore, whenever you decide to get off of the cutting phase, you haven't fall far behind from where you were prior to the cutting phase. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I really like that you put it that way. It makes it make a lot more sense, right? So no matter where we're at in our health journey, we can utilize these tips that Tony's going to share with us today and just really get more specific, I think, with understanding how weight loss and fat burn actually work within our bodies. And that process, that understanding, gives us a foundation to be a little bit more graceful with ourselves. If you're listening and you're someone that's really, really interested in losing a little bit of weight or just losing fat and building strength, then this episode, you're probably like, oh my gosh, like turn the volume up right now. But I think this is going to be a really great tool for you to understand like how exactly it works, and then be able to say, okay, like now I know, all these different mechanisms, which I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't even know you guys. I'm learning from Tony just right along with you. Um, and it's just gonna be a really good time to give yourself grace. Again, that understanding will just provide, I believe, so much kind of peace with it's hard to put into words because it's one of those things, it takes a while, right? This doesn't happen overnight. And a
Yeah.
lot of times we get frustrated and we'll go and try all these different things, which then makes it take longer because we're not sticking with the program that actually works for our bodies. So take it away and just tell us all about it. Tell us all you
Yeah.
got,
So,
everything you
yeah.
know.
So exactly what you said with like people knowing their bodies, and when people believe they're about to start cutting, they assume all of a sudden they have to go from, let's say, 6 to 10 reps on their workouts to all of a sudden they need to start doing 15 to 20 because muscular endurance is what's going to like shape their muscle. Well, all right, yeah, you can do that. That's when you're definitely going to see atrophy in your muscles. If you can recall, if you've been listening to our podcast, the difference between atrophy and hypertrophy.
Yeah,
If
we'll
you,
link that episode in the show notes if you haven't heard it yet. Definitely go back and listen.
yeah,
That's a really great place to start.
if you eliminate those key hypertrophy movements, which compound movements, I believe when I had the 5 list of key factors for hypertrophy, compound movements were the first thing on there.
Yep.
And that, when I say compound movements, for you to remember, it's example, a squat, a bench, a deadlift, a push press, anything that's going to utilize as many muscles as possible to complete one movement. And I always like to use squat as a prime example for the compounds because it does use basically every muscle possible.
You can make it use.
If you're doing it
Right.
properly.
You can
If you,
make it use every single muscle. It doesn't always, but again, if you're doing it properly and if you're understanding and connecting with what's supposed to be going on, that's our goal for you guys, is to really take this information in, understand it, ask us questions. So listen to this and then write us on Instagram or Facebook, send us an email or a text message, ask us questions so that you can get the most out of this, and then go out and understand and utilize it to change your body so that you gain confidence.
exactly. And when you're having the biggest trouble trying to pinpoint your nutrition with the exercise during the cutting phase, that's when it gets all twisted up and people get confused.
Right.
For example, if Bailey is eating let's say 1,200 calories a day, right? And let's just that number. We're just imagining, right? And her workouts, she's doing a workout program that I provided, and her rep range in the workout is 8 to 12 reps for most of her exercises. All right. If she's going into a cutting phase, her nutrition is now eliminating a lot of calories. Therefore, you're going to lack energy for your workouts. All right. But just because you're lacking energy for your workouts does not mean you can mentally push through the workouts, because your goal is to still break those muscle fibers down so you can build them up so you don't lose and get that atrophy effect to your body.
What he's saying, hear us right now, is that when you try to diet to an extreme with a strength or specific, even physique goal in mind, you are 9 times out of 10 going to set yourself further back, because you cannot get your maximal value and effort out of literally anything you do, your exercise, your sleep, even thinking and doing your job. You just can't do those things at optimum levels when you are in a severe calorie deficit. So he said 1,200 calories. That's probably a good number to throw out, because 1,200, for some reason, is a wildly popular diet number for calorie goals. And I'll remind you, said it before and I'll say it again, 1,200 calories is the need of a toddler. But in comparison, he knows my body needs about 2,000 calories a day just to maintain. So 1,200 calories would be a severe calorie deficit. I would not be able to do what I'm trying to do. I would get extremely frustrated. I would not know what's going on because I'm eating the healthy foods, right? I'm not eating a whole lot. this should be working. This is what I know. This is what I've learned to be healthy. And this is what you do when you have a goal. Friend, today we're going to have to unlearn some of that because that is not what the science says. So, just a little basic understanding there in some layman's terms, because Tony's very, very smart. And sometimes I don't even understand all the big fancy words he uses. But yeah, I think that is definitely one of the most important things we'll tell you today.
Yeah. And to back up and you can correct me if I do miss something when I mention the nutrition, but when you are cutting, your protein is still going to be sufficient to what your body needs, right? We always talk about your lean body mass, or a kilogram, or what is it again?
So this is kind of interesting for the exerciser. So most of us are exercisers, and then there's a separate category for athletes, which is not too terribly different. Their macronutrient breakdowns end up a little bit different than ours. However, almost everyone, every single time, will still fall within the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges, AMDR, which are those values that we've talked about before with respect to total daily calories, where 45% to 65% comes from carbohydrates, 20 to 35% comes from fat, and 10 to 35% comes from protein. Those ranges are what we're going to fall within. Protein, typically people remember, 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, 0.8 to 1 grams per kilogram, not per pound, people. Literally, calculations for nutrition science do not use pounds ever. So if you see a quote unquote health coach or anyone telling you grams of anything per pound of body weight, that's really not rooted in science. And I've seen a lot of that going on lately. And it's kind of really starting to make me a little bit angry, because these people are marketing themselves just like we are as health professionals, but they're not sharing the professional health advice that's out there for us to share. So yeah, for protein, sorry, long little tangent about that, but protein, you are going to want to probably aim for about 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. If you do all the calculations, work it forwards and then backwards again, you'll end up within that protein range of, typically we want to be about 20% of our daily calories from protein. The big thing there, you probably don't want to go any further than 30%. And that is if you're have a very short amount of time that you're doing this for, because like we've talked about in the past, excess protein can lead to kidney stones, kidney fatigue, all these different things that are not great, gastric distress, not great. So in a very short-term sense, you can maybe push it up to that 30%. Generally, we want to say about 20% for the average exerciser. And that is proportional to your calories. So Tony's about to chat a little bit about, the calorie deficit and how it relates to cutting and burning fat and losing weight and all these things that a lot of us, I think, just don't really understand truly. We're told all of these different things and theories, and none of it really truly makes any sense. But it's all going to be proportional. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth on that. But yes, you are correct that you will still get enough protein. You will still get enough carbs, enough fats. And if you're paying attention to what you're eating and truly doing it in a health-minded way, you will get enough fiber and enough nutrients as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I say you're getting the sufficient amount of protein that your body needs, because your protein intake is to help support the protein synthesis and the breakdown within the muscle fibers, just like I explained. Now, when you lower your carbs and your fats, even though you're still going to get the amount that your body can handle in a caloric deficit and enough energy for you to complete your workouts, you're still going to feel fatigued and you could still feel weak just because you're not used to having that little amount of those macronutrients. But that does not mean you should stop working out at the intensity that you originally were. That's what a lot of people do. They start feeling weak and fatigued, but they're really just low in their energy expenditure because of the calories that they're intaking. And I'm just speaking from experience, because when I was losing all my weight, I actually built a big amount of muscle mass while being in such a big caloric deficit. It's not even funny for my body weight.
Which is not what we're recommending.
Not, but I'm trying to give the point that regardless of you're in the caloric deficit or not, you can still achieve that muscle mass. You can still achieve the strength. My best weightlifting numbers happened right after I lost all my weight.
Exactly. And the big thing there, we are not recommending that you go into this crazy big calorie deficit unless you feel that that is safe for your body. Tony felt it was safe for his body. He knew what he was doing. He had the education. He had nutrition professionals and doctors around him that he had access to make sure that he was being safe. So that's always the baseline. Of course, please don't take our words out of context, because we want you to be safe. But we also want you to understand that you can do some of these things to really speed up and maximize your performance and your goals. However, you need to make sure that you're doing it correctly. So based on that, Tony, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you feel fatigued and you're in that calorie deficit, and that is what you and your nutrition professional and fitness professional have worked out is right for your body at this time. If you are in a calorie deficit and you start to feel really fatigued and like you don't have any energy, what can you add or swap out in order to combat that energy deficit a little bit?
If we're thinking the same way, we might not. I have a feeling we're not thinking the same way, but from what I just took from you, if you're feeling fatigued and you're following a nutrition plan, then that means your highest carbohydrate meal should be placed right before your workout. Or not right before it, obviously, but an hour and a half, so it can slowly digest for you to disperse that energy for your workout. But yeah, you don't have to follow your plan. Like Bailey recommended a couple meals for me to try. I was following it, but one night I hit an insane leg workout and I was like, all right, I need to recover from this. I need some calories in me. So instead of my Wednesday night dinner, I took my Saturday night dinner and I just swapped them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And that's perfectly okay to do. That, guys, he's so smart. Carbohydrates are our main source of energy, right? And so if you're feeling fatigued, you don't have to go back to increasing your calories. You can stay within that calorie deficit. And to be entirely honest with you, your nutrition professional should be giving you a range of calories to aim for. We don't want to be hitting the exact same number every day, just because that's really restrictive and that puts us in a little bit of a lack mindset where we want to be in an abundance mindset. But also, if you are hitting the exact same amount of calories every single day for an extended period of time, your metabolism actually might adapt to that and start to slow down a little bit, which is not the goal if we're trying to cut, right? So instead, what you want to do is just alter a little bit. So stay within that calorie range, but swap out a protein or a fat for a higher carbohydrate option. An example of this would be, I think the biggest misconception about this is that people don't understand that it's not like one food is not just a protein or a fat or a carbohydrate. You don't have to sacrifice in one region just to make do in another. So for example, instead of a chicken breast for your protein, instead have some pinto beans or black beans, whatever. Have a bean or some lentils, a legume. Beans and legumes are higher in carbohydrates, but they are still a really good source of protein. They also have some added fiber. So you're still going to hit enough protein. You're going to have that added carbohydrate with your protein. So that's how I want you guys to think about it. compound your different food options so that you're, again, within that same calorie range. Might even be in a calorie deficit because it's kind of hard to eat enough beans to
Mhm.
match the calories of a chicken breast. But that is a really great option. And like Tony said, the timing is also very important. So if you are heading into your exercise and yesterday you just felt like you didn't have anything left to give, you were tired and drained, and your muscles just feel fatigued, it is showing in the research that about 30 to 60 minutes before your workout is the best time to have a good, easily digestible carbohydrate source. Now, you'll also want a little bit of protein and fat in there because you do want to make a macronutrient balanced meal. You want to do that because that is what helps us feel full, helps us feel satisfied. We're not going to like get to the middle of our workout and be like, dang, I'm really hungry.
Mm.
You're going to be a-okay until you get through, and then you can have your post-workout meal. So that carbohydrate can look like a banana with some peanut butter. You have your carbohydrate, a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat. It could look like some hummus with carrots, right? You have that carbohydrate from the beans, the protein and the fat actually within a bean. And then you have some fiber from the carrots, a little bit more carbohydrate there. You could even do like a really small portion of a meal of whatever you had last night, maybe chicken and broccoli, maybe a little bit of salmon and roasted potatoes. Like you can do a smaller portion so that you're not feeling overly stuffed and like you're going to throw up when you work out. But you want to make sure that you are getting those nutrients in. And again, it's showing about 30 to 60 minutes before your workout is a really good time to incorporate those.
Yeah. And when we talked specific carbohydrates before, like your oatmeals and your brown rice or your sweet potatoes, since they're that slow digestive and low glycemic index food, it'll help you moderate the amount of energy you're burning through the workout, so it can stay that way the entire time without seeing a drastic dip halfway through your workout. Another thing you could point out with the nutrition, with getting a quick carbohydrate source for the energy, you see a lot of people these days eating those like gummy worms. They're eating gummy worms, jelly beans, and all that processed sugar during a workout. I don't know if you've seen it. I go to the gym, people are eating halfway through the workout.
I have never seen that. So that is called intra-workout
Workout, yeah.
nutrition. And that is becoming increasingly popular because it is needed if you're working out for longer than 60 minutes. Most of us listening to this are probably, I know I'm anywhere from 20 to like 30 minutes truly is my max. I just don't have enough time. I like to get it in and move on with my day. But if you're working out 45 to 60 minutes or longer, you need a little bit of a boost in between there, like Tony said, to avoid that blood sugar drop off crash. Makes you feel awful. That is how diabetes is started, is that crazy roller coaster of our blood glucose. So we want to avoid that. And that's what the intra workout nutrition is for. However, it is supposed to be a carb to get you that energy, but I have never heard of eating like just straight up candy. What?
Oh no. Swedish Fish. I know. What's his name? Max Tuning. He owner of Ghost. He makes now those strips that are sour strips that have sugar in it. But people don't understand. Like, eat fruit. Like that fruit going to give you more of a boost, and it's going to last longer in your system. When you're eating those sour strips, they're going to go as fast as possible through your body, and that's when the crash is going to hit you even harder. Whereas if you eat an apple, you got 30 grams of natural like sweet sugar in there, and it's just going to help you boost right through your workout. I've eaten an apple before 30 minutes prior to my workout, and I had the best workout of my life, and it doesn't fill you up. It's so light on your stomach, it does not fill you up whatsoever.
Right. And that fiber that's included is what helps carry that sugar, that carbohydrate throughout your workout, give you that extended energy release. And that is really what we're looking for in terms of making sure that we can max out our reps all throughout the workout. You don't just want to do the first set of the first exercise and then feel like you can't pick up a heavy weight, right? Because that resistance training is what we're really focused on, because in past episodes we've talked about this a little bit. The resistance training is truly the best way to target that kind of fat burn state, the fat oxidation that we want to be in for a cutting phase. So we want to make sure that we have that extended energy. Again, candy does not do that, and that just kind of blows my mind that people are really doing that. Another good option would be some pineapple. Pineapple is great if you love that kind of sour. Awesome for that. Gets you added nutrients, vitamin C. I mean, it's just so not intuitive to eat the candies or the supplements or follow your workout with just a plain protein shake in like water or milk. It's not intuitive because it doesn't have those nutrients, it doesn't have the fiber, and it's not a complete and balanced meal. So after your workout, let's shift into that lane real quick to round it out. After your workout, you also want a balanced meal, but you want it to be focused a bit more on the protein. So beforehand, remember, we want that carbohydrate for the energy. We want a little bit of fat to help our bodies feel sustained, stable, not hangry. And then afterwards, we want to make sure that we're hitting it with that protein, right? To get in there and fill in all the gaps that we made when we tore apart our muscles during our workout. Fill them in. That's how we build the muscle and strength. You can still do that while you are cutting. That post-workout meal should not be any later than about 60 to 90 minutes after your workout. And it should be a macronutrient balanced meal with a very, very concentrated source of protein. Now, if you want to have a protein shake, please just don't have it on its own. Okay, you don't have to have a full meal. I know a lot of people will work out in the mornings, and maybe it's kind of hard for you to take a full meal with you to eat after you exercise, but you are doing your body a disservice if you don't have some real food after your workout. I mean, think about how many calories you just burned, how much energy you used up, all the fatigue that you're gaining from burning out those muscles, breaking them apart. Your body deserves more nourishment than just that scoop of powder, okay? A lot of them are not designed to give you any nutrients. They're really truly just designed to send protein directly to your muscles, and that's it. And food does the same exact thing, but it doesn't cause gas or bloating. It doesn't make your stomach feel awful. And some people just really can't tolerate it well. I cannot do whey. It makes me feel like someone is stabbing me in the stomach with a knife. I can't drink it. So if you can't do that, don't feel bad. Just take some higher protein options with you afterwards. Have a bean burger, have some chicken breast, take some salmon. If you work out in the morning, I've been really loving having some smoked salmon with my egg on some toast or like half a bagel and some mashed avocado. Chef's kiss. It's amazing. But that would be a really great post-workout option too, especially if you're in the morning. Those concentrated sources of protein that we think of as protein sources from our diet are just exponentially better for your body.
And they're those tips that we just gave you, the pre-workout and the post-workout, are like the cheat codes for your success during the cut. Honestly,
yes,
you're getting what you need to fuel your workout. Therefore, you're going to have an amazing workout for the benefits and the goals that you want. And then following your workout, you're giving that nice support for your build that you broke down during the workout. So you're literally bang, bang, bang. And now all that is going to come together at the end of the 3 or the 4 month time period of the phase for the cutting.
Right.
And like I said, nutrition is going to be the most vital role, but with your workouts, there's still little things that you can do, you can add, you can take away in order for you to get to your end goal. And to kind of wrap everything I said originally from the workouts, you don't have to change the rep range from low to high. you should still stick to compound movements at a moderate to heavy load to maintain that overall strength, engaging every muscle that you possibly can so they don't fall apart when you try to build the muscle back up, because that's going to be where people struggle the most, is getting that strength back. And then once they don't see the strength right away, they start getting depressed about the workouts. It's just a big stressor. That's why I say keep it in your routine so it does not go away. And honestly, it should be things that you do regardless of what phase you're in your workout. You should just do this for longevity purposes. And the biggest thing too is then finally we'll touch on the cardio, because all of a sudden now I talked about doing strength workouts. Let's say the beginning of your workout is a 5x5 squat, right? And then the rest of your workouts are all 8 to 12 reps, right? Now here comes your cardio. People all of a sudden, when they put cutting into it, they think, all right, I got to walk on the incline for an hour on the treadmill, or I have to do a 20-minute HIIT workout.
Just by itself, not with that strength training. Cardio
Exactly.
is very, very tightly tied to the thought and the idea of burning fat, losing weight, cutting, however you want to put it.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
let's go.
And we talked about it in previous episodes where I touched on it's not low intensity steady state. It's just a steady paced cardio, realistically. A nice jog, a run, anything to get your heart rate in the fat burning zone so you can target that body fat whenever you're burning the calories. Because like I said, when you're in that fat burning zone, the total calories that you burned during that 20, 30 minutes run that you did, the majority of those calories are going to be from your fat source rather than your carbohydrate, because that's what your body was pacing at. And people are like, well, if I run, I'm going to lose my muscle mass. I know that's a big topic that I always talk about. If you're breaking down the muscles properly during the workout and you know you have that post-workout shake and food, whatever you have ready to go, that run is not going to do those things. All it's going to do is burn more body fat and burn more calories. Therefore, the calorie deficit that you're already in is going to assist with the workouts. Therefore, boom, you are now at the end of your cut and you're ready to show off that body you've been working on.
Well, just wrap it up with a pretty little bow for us, Mike. That is it, folks. Wow. I mean, truly unlearning everything we've been told about fat burn and losing weight. This is just backwards from what people like to tell you, right? I mean, they say that you're going to gain weight if you strength train because you're going to build muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. And that's, true. But if you're following it up correctly, again, with that cardio at the end to burn the fat, and you're following it up with the proper nutrition, science happens. I love how that happens.
First of all, in the cutting phase, don't weigh yourself because there's no point. Your goal is body fat and maintain, or even try to add muscle mass at the same time. That is what the goal is during a cut. You want your muscles to show as much as possible, and you don't want body fat showing. That's the picture. So use the mirror as your guide, not the scale. The scale is for people that literally only have the goal of, I'm 250 pounds. I need to get to 200 to be satisfied. If that's their goal, then by all means, weigh yourself every day, every other day. But when it comes to cutting and targeting body fat and building muscle, you don't need to do that. Stare in the mirror. I weighed myself when I started my cut. I weighed myself. I was 227. It's been 2 weeks. I weighed myself again, and I'm down to 217. Like that's a solid cut, right? 2 weeks, 10 pounds, and I look great. I look in the mirror. I'm like, wow, it looks like it's been 4 months since I've cut.
That is amazing, because he's been hyper focused on doing the right movements for his body, having the right nutrition to follow it up, and having that right mindset, thinking, hey, I'm doing this for how confident I feel when I look in the mirror. I'm doing this to get my energy, to get my strength. He's doing it, and he has that healthy relationship with the exercise, with the food, and with what he sees in the mirror, no matter what stage he's at in the cutting process. And that's when the true magic happens. So I hope that you, as the listener, take all of this and utilize it, and take the time before trying any of these to really sit down and get serious with yourself. Write out on a piece of paper what your goals are. Throw the scale away. Okay.
Literally.
I got on the scale this week and I was blown away at how much I weigh, because I've been looking in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I'm so proud. My arms look so better than they ever have in my life. I'm looking more lean in my legs. Like, I'm really happy with how I look. And then I stepped on the scale. And to be entirely honest with you guys, I've never weighed more in my life. And for a second, it threw me for a loop, because as women, we're told that is like danger zone, red flag, got to do something to not be that heavy again. But I'm reaching my goals with what I want to look like in the mirror. And that's so much more important. So take the time, really just get focused, get clear on what your goals are, and get okay with some new normals. Maybe a heavier body weight, maybe your meals looking a little bit different. Maybe some of you need to be eating more. Maybe you're in that extreme calorie deficit and your body's like, hey, I really can't function like this, and you need to eat a little bit more. So it's really just learning about your body, using these tools as guidelines, and then working with one of us, another professional that you trust, to create the correct plan for your unique body to really just skyrocket and launch off of those results super quickly. That's so impressive that it's only been 2 weeks.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. Today was phenomenal. You guys have got to go back and listen to this over and over again. Again, send us those questions, send us a message. We are here to help, and we want you to be able to use this series to build on itself. So if you're kind of feeling a little bit confused right now, when you come back and listen next week, that confusion might not get any better. So go ahead and get your questions answered so that you can feel comfortable and confident in understanding what we're saying, so that you can use every single episode in this series to better yourself and your health. Thanks again, Tony. This was so great, and I can't wait for next week. It's just going to be so good for this entire series. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We hope to hear from you soon and see your results. Track with some pictures. Tag us in your meals, in your workouts. We want to see you guys and how you're using these tips. We love you. Stay safe. Do this safely. Do this with a really graceful mindset. Yeah, and we're so proud of you already.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, we will talk to you guys soon. Have a great week.
See ya.
It was our greatest honor to take up space in your world today. Please share this episode to your social media pages and tag us at BeWellHWC. Cheers to you, friend, for choosing better for yourself starting today. It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. Subscribe to the show and learn how to make healthy less hard, one tip at a time.